Welcome to the Security Unfiltered podcast, where we cut through all the talk, discuss strategy with people who shape the cybersecurity landscape, specifically in the Nordics for today. Today, I'm joined by a seasoned cybersecurity professional and advisor with years of experience defending organizations from the evolving threat landscape. We're going to talk about how threat actors, their tactics, techniques, and procedures support TTPs, how they're changing, and we're also going to touch upon, among other things, why fear-mongering and the fear-based messaging does more harm than good. So, Hasain, thank you for coming. Please tell us a little bit about your journey to Principal Cybersecurity Advisor at TrueSec.
Yeah, thanks for the invitation. And
my pleasure.
It's awesome to be here and be able to share some of the things I've seen throughout the years. My journey with IT started back in mid of 90s. I used to say I've been in the business for 30 years plus, which started off as a developer or hobby developer.
Developer.
Yeah,
okay,
and I never been like a professional developer.
Okay.
As such. Well, did a few things that ran on network servers, etc., etc. But from there, transited into network was something. Back in the days with 10BASE-T stuff, Terminators and things like that. No, it's not the movie Terminator. Yeah. So things, evolved in like the last 25 years, something, almost only security, whatever the name of the flavor of the day for security could be.
It has changed.
It's IT security, it's system security, it's, or cybersecurity as it's more fancy something today. So when simply people ask me, what do you do on a daily basis? Well, I solve problems. That's what I have been doing the last...
Problem solving.
Exactly. It's all different sorts of problems, and then you need to have ways of thinking and structured ways of approaching these kind of problems, and then simply find one or other way to figure out something that makes reason. And
okay,
this is we can do that. So
all right. So a professional problem solver. Within the digital environment.
Exactly.
Would that be a good way of explaining it?
I've never been privately on non-professional.
Right.
I've done all sorts of things with physical security and all that.
Okay.
Too, but
all right.
I wouldn't dare to label myself anything.
Professional on that. All right.
Exactly.
Cool. So we met for the first time relatively recently at an event in Denmark, and I thoroughly enjoyed the way you explained things when you were on stage, and then we had a chat later in the afternoon. So, and that's why I really, really appreciate the fact that you came when I asked. So let's start with the basics. For those who aren't in the trenches every day, taking care of different cybersecurity incidents, can you please explain what a TTP is, for example, and why they matter?
So the term TTP focuses on what has been done, how it has been done, its procedures, tactics, and tooling. So what kind of... Now, when we observe somebody, a threat actor, it's oftentimes a threat actor. Now, we can use the term TTP also to describe offensive work, which is not necessarily bad because that's more of a planned and...
You're thinking about pen testing?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Because in pen testing, we mimic the same type of procedures.
Obviously, it makes
that makes sense today.
Of course.
We didn't thought about that like 20 years ago, 25 years ago. So this is... something kind of new in the business.
Okay, so like thinking like the adversary, thinking like a criminal?
Well, we tried as early as possible to tell people you need to think as an adversary.
Yeah.
Actually, me and my colleague Marcus Murray, we started up TrueSec back for 20 years ago-ish, give or take.
Yeah, you got 20 years anniversary.
Exactly, this year. Yeah. So, exactly. A lot of years. So, however, we started very early, even before we joined forces and into TrueSec, to talk about the problem in terms of I need to know how an attacker works to understand what I need to cover and protect, right? So we had a very long journey with Microsoft, for instance, where we on their own stages at TechEd and Ignite and so on, talked about how threat actors are approaching Windows systems, how threat actors are approaching applications and so on. What is hacking? Our goal was not to show cool hacks. It was rather to give people, administrators, the understanding how to protect against those cool hacks.
That's one thing I saw at that demo,
Right.
and that was like very impressive.
Yeah.
Like it was relatively low level. So, how are these techniques or these TTPs evolving? Let's say, is there any huge difference what adversaries were doing 5, 10 years ago versus what they're doing today?
We have seen a lot of changes.
Okay.
If we look at the most recent years, like let's go back 5 years or something, that period in time, we see a lot of living of the land. That's really something that pops up every here and there. Like a few years earlier than that, it was pretty fancy with running customized code, running customized agent. Cobalt Strike was something really, really big back in the days. Everybody remembers Metasploit, the toolkit, and making undetectable, agents and things like that. It was something in the beginning of kind of this era, but today we do a lot of incident response engagements within TrueSec. So we do nearly 200 cases, advanced cases per year.
And you're one of the main actors in the Nordic.
Exactly. We have a group of 40 full-time employees that only does incident response. They are not just consultants doing this.
So if anybody knows what they're talking about, it would be you.
Most probably, hopefully. As a matter of fact, just before we began this one, I borrowed one of your rooms to have a status call during an incident. So it is a daily something. They just call in and then we need to step up. So given that, we see a lot of how threat actors are changing their behaviors, how they are changing their tooling, the toolbox they're using, how they're changing their tactics and so on. We actually sometimes see their written procedures in terms of this is the instructions you follow to do a ransomware attack. Everybody have had the chance to see when these things were publicly announced after the invasion of Ukraine, and some groups split it up on each side and then started outing them
out in each other.
Exactly.
Yeah, because I think something that people are not really aware of is today you can buy ransomware as a service, you can buy deep fake as a service. So there's like with support mechanisms in place.
It's a business model.
It's a business model. So going on that, let's take that segue. So beyond the technical evolution of living off the land, what new business outcomes are attackers achieving with these new tactics? Is it for example, is it just disruption, fraud? Is it reputational destruction? And how do you change your response based on what it is?
Good question. So we categorize attacks basically in two major categories. We say there are the sophisticated state finance threat actors, and then there are the cyber criminals. Somewhere in between this and that, there are the political hacktivist space, right? Which sometimes they actually borrow tools from the cyber criminals. It might be like a denial of service attack or something like that.
Yeah.
They would never go and steal data. As far as the monitoring we have had, the way they stretch it is maybe to a disruptive attack in terms of denial of service or something like that. There are exceptions to all these kind of rules, obviously. I mean, groups from Iran, groups from North Korea, et cetera, we have seen evidence that they have been doing things to like get money or get information that they can use on their own side, et cetera, and so on. But the two groups we're talking about, the cyber criminals, which they are out there for the money in it, and the state finance groups, which they are out there for the espionage part of it. Simply being in the target environment, low and slow for an extended or prolonged period of time, and then just for the sake of being there sometimes. And it's better to be behind the enemy lines.
Hiding and
before the war starts. And so whenever something happens, then you are already there, and have that kind of an extended access.
When you say extended access, I was reading a report recently because. Let's talk about, let's do a little segue into ransomware groups so that our viewers will understand a little bit if they're not really into it. Ransomware groups are big business today, but there's also a tolerance from different states. You mentioned a few of them. We've got Iran, North Korea, Russia, Belarus, things like that. But the report I was reading is with the Interpol crackdown Operation Endgame, how especially in Russia, the cyber criminal ecosystem, if we can call it that, has been shaken up.
Yep.
Do you want to touch on that a little bit?
Well, obviously, if you take any front figure for an organization, that will affect the organization, right?
Obviously.
So these takedown operations, they simply affected the top layer, those players who were kind of controlling everything, controlling that game. So when these personas are not allowed to be more public anymore, or they are, but they will probably be chased down and hunted and all of that. There will be an empty space, right, by nature. So, and then that actually has encouraged a lot of changes in that part of the world, the cyber criminal world. So we see a lot of emerging new groups, a lot of smaller groups, a lot of groups with another type of tactics. So there is definitely a big effect those operations have had on the way these groups are running their business.
Exactly. So for our listeners, just to put it into context, so with Interpol, FBI, and all these, where they cracking down on specific hacker groups and leaders. So from my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, let's say the Russian government or state nations or different organizations within the Russian state have a tolerance for certain groups and protect them, because I understand it that it's nation state interest that they work, whereas others, they're not protecting them. So it's like what we say in Sweden, spel för galleriet. It's like you're just putting on a show and then taking away the low level money laundering, for example, not that big a thing, but whoever's spying on you will protect them. Is that right?
Maybe it's sometimes showing kind of we want to cooperate.
Yeah.
So they give you that small piece of something just to keep you happy and and so on. But we know that the legislation in Russia is actually, as far as you're not attacking Russia per se,
you're good to go.
Then you're good to go. Yeah. Obviously, that doesn't come with any tax on top of it. So the tax is probably you need to share some of the earnings you're doing.
Exactly.
And also, if we need something from you as the state, you would be not saying no to that.
So there's a shady, if we can call it that, a shady correlation between cyber criminal gangs and the nation states. But you also touched upon the fact that they're changing tactics. Yeah. So I understood it that it's a lot more difficult to infiltrate now. They're not as, or tell us.
No, what we have seen. Let's keep on the ransomware space, right? So new groups are much more fast going. They don't necessarily wait unnecessary time in an organization from entry point to finish execution. It could be just a couple of hours nowadays.
Okay.
They also, some groups have decided, we care for our customers.
Yeah, they call them customers now.
Exactly, because they are providing a security service, according to them. So they will step in and do a security assessment and then take some of your data just as a proof that they've been there and then demand some payment for that. But they will not go ahead and encrypt. Right?
So they're doing you a favor.
Yeah.
They're getting into, it's like showing you, hey, well, listen, everything's unsecured here.
Yeah.
We've secured it for you.
The proof is that we've been there. We took your data.
Yeah.
This is the data. They put it on, publish it on their sites, and then threaten with, we can show everybody what kind of data you have.
Yeah.
You better pay. And if you don't pay, some of these groups have started, we can go to the law enforcement of the authorities and start telling them about how lousy you are with your security, so you will be fined.
So blackmailing them with okay, you're not NIST 2 compliant, for example, or you're not compliant to DORA or whatever framework you need to be compliant to. Your fines will be more than what you pay us.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's
Either
it's a good business
this,
model.
right?
It's a covert business model, a bit cheeky. I heard, I think it was actually one of your colleagues a couple of years ago saying that ransomware gangs would actually go in, get into your environment and patch your vulnerabilities so that nobody else gets in.
We have seen that back in the days.
Okay.
I don't recall any more recent example of that, at least not under the last 1 or 2 years.
Okay.
Oftentimes that things happens when they use popular 0 days or N+1 day vulnerabilities. they want to get in there and get the foothold, and they don't want to lose that foothold.
Understood.
So then they are super interested in maybe fixing the situation so nobody else can get that foothold instead of them. As said, so those changes we're seeing or observing is that the last up to maybe 3 quarters or something like that in time, we've seen a lot more fast-going ransomware cases.
Like more smash and grab?
Exactly.
Yeah? Okay.
Exactly that is.
Because previously we were talking about, I know if you look at reports, you can take them with a pinch of salt because they're always angled in a way to sell whatever the report.
Yeah.
But there's always like, oh, it's the adversary's in your environment 270 days, 180 days, depending on what report you're reading. But you're saying like they're in and out.
They are much more in and out, exactly. And then they are also not really bothering about if the environment is just a small one. They probably look more at the money than the size of the environment still.
The money they can make?
Exactly, the money they can earn. So they look at the turnover figures and...
Cool, because that's something that I wanted to talk about. So we might as well jump into that. So we're analyzing TTPs, but let's talk about the P&L, the profit and loss. So you got costs of different tooling, your environment, your R&D, even as a ransomware gang, you still have costs. You've got overhead. People might need to be bribed as well. So how do they target? Like what's the ROI they're looking at, for example? How do you know, should I take Steven's company or should I take Maria's company?
Yeah, what it looks like is that we have different layers of things more or less automated. So when they step in, that's the very last part of the process.
What do you mean? Explain that to us.
It starts all with, bots or automated agents.
So they're automating, looking for things ways to get in.
Scraping the internet, whether there is a new vulnerability or something like that, or there could be an old vulnerability. Remember, the Akira group, when they were big, they were using a 2 years old vulnerability, right, to get in. Nobody believed in that.
Was it SMB?
No, it was a Syscopix vulnerability from 2022, and then they were like...
It was just completely overlooked.
Exactly.
For
and
the time.
The thing with that vulnerability, there were no proof of concept code or anything similar to that, so nobody thought that was...
a way
It
in.
was a simple one. You could just send a magic packet and then get a memory dump, partial memory dump from the device, which might or might not included some juicy information in terms of username, password, session IDs. So that's what they basically used. When we did our checks and balances of how many devices on the internet are actually still vulnerable, we're talking 2024, late 2024, we had amazing numbers.
Are you talking the Nordics or
in the world as such?
The world. Okay.
So almost 25% of all Pix devices worldwide were still vulnerable for that.
Oh wow! Late 2024.
2022. That's when we talked late 2024. Yeah. So I used to ask the customer when we step in some of these incidents, how patched are your systems? Well, they are. We have applied all the available patches.
Sure they are.
Okay, when did you do that? Well, it was 2 years ago, or because there are no more patches. So
end of service, end of life.
Exactly. That's what you're telling me, right? Yeah. That's the part of the story. That's the other wording for it.
Yeah.
So there are agents, as said, scouting the big internet for different types of things, ways to get in. And I think there is a huge pile of these are opportunities
out there. We could see that last summer, for example, with edge equipment, where there was a lot of edge equipment, VPN routers, stuff out there. We won't mention any names, but there was a lot where they were being actively exploited because there was things that were working, running in the production environment, but unpatched. Yeah. And because they're end of service or end of life, they're not getting that notification, oh, you need to patch this.
Exactly.
So you've got this comfortable, warm, fuzzy feeling, oh, I'm up to date. But in reality, like I've got a shitload of things that are old and there's no patches coming.
Right.
And adversaries are using them. That's what
exactly. So imagine you have like tons of opportunities you can abuse to get hold of something. And then you have this much of, manpower, resources available. So comparing the huge list with your resources, then you just, let's have a look at this one and see where that takes us. Oh, no, that wasn't good. we got in, but we couldn't get any further, so we abandoned ship here and we look at the next one. Okay. So I think there are way more opportunities for threat actors to do something than they actually have time to do.
Okay, so it's like, bad example maybe, but I'm going hunting for birds, and there's so many birds that if I don't hit that one, I'll just get the next one.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
So, and would you say it's the size of the customers? Because I know I've got friends that have their own small businesses, and I always end up in talking about how do you protect yourself, what have you got, and they're like, oh, but we're too small, nobody cares about us, or we've got everything in the cloud. Do you see a difference? Are the attackers?
No, not really. Let's give you an example from this late summer. So an environment, what was it? Domain controller, a few more servers, like up to 6 servers, I guess, in total. That was totally encrypted. The reason for that, there was a 2003 server that was brought back to life from the deads.
So they didn't unplug it? Or?
It was shut down back in 2019, but then because of a power outage, the virtual machine went back online. And everything else, like the firewall rules and exposure to internet was there. It did, though, survive 23 days on the internet.
Okay.
Nobody was touching it.
Yeah.
But the first somebody who saw that, 2003, I just can lean to it and then...
And then
admin.
Okay.
So 23 days later, then they stepped in. Within 2 hours, everything was encrypted. So, and that was pretty small environment. Now they were providing a special application to other customers, obviously. Whether the threat actor understood that or not, we don't know.
Irrelevant,
that. But we don't chase that kind of a fact. But the environment was super small.
But it had like supply chain effect. So
exactly.
And that's one of the things we can see with the new frameworks, where they're focusing on, you need to have good eyes on your supply chain. Where is the weakest link?
Exactly.
And making sure of that. Okay, so with all these evolving threats, I mean, it does seem a little bit overwhelming sometimes. How do you communicate risk to executives or boards without causing panic? Like, do you have a specific framework for translating, let's say, the risk of living off the land attacks in a 30-second business risk statement for a CEO or someone, without saying, hey, the sky's falling?
Well, yeah, many tends to do the skies is falling.
Yeah.
Absolutely so. But basically, you need to get things on the table in a way. Say, you know what? If I would be able to be part of your internal network, evidently, I wouldn't have to struggle too much. It's going to take me 1 or 2 hours, and then I can create a standing still situation for you. How much is that situation worth, or what kind of damage I'm causing to you? You will not be able to continue to produce whatever you're producing. There will be a PR damage. There will be all sorts of things.
Yeah, reputational damage.
Maybe some of your partners will abandon ship. Maybe exactly you're not going to be able to deliver whatever you're promising to deliver, and so on. So try to materialize that in such terms, rather than, hey, this is that level of somebody can do this at this level 9.8. remote code execution or whatever it is.
Yeah. Not the technical stuff.
Exactly.
Turn it into a business. Say, okay.
This is what it means. Your business will suffer this much.
But will you, for example, how would you approach a mid-size organization from TrueSec's perspective and say, well, listen, we can do a pen test. And they say, yeah, fantastic, do a pen test. And then you say, okay, we've done the pen test. We found that we can get into your environment or anybody with the following tools within an hour or two, and then you'll stand still.
Yeah.
And it's going to take you at least a week to get back online.
Exactly.
How much is that worth? Is that...
I will actually start today with say, we don't need to do pen tests. We know most of the organizations have these type of problems. And nobody is unique. Nowadays.
There's no snowflakes.
Right?
Unique little snowflakes. No, everybody's the same.
This is based on what we have been seeing from those attacks we've been handling, right? So it keeps repeating itself in almost a perfect cycle. So I can confidently step in and say, if somebody would have a foothold inside your network, you will most probably not survive.
Yeah.
right? So we don't need to spend unnecessary money on
Doing a pen test.
doing a pen test and putting that on the table as
Yeah.
a fact, or doing an internal health check or whatever we call it,
We
an
know.
internal assessment. We know these things will surface. I can certainly point at these 5 things will surface regardless. And then let's take an approach that we do something about these low-hanging fruits.
Yeah.
So that will give you a peace of mind and then a lot of opportunities to deal with the more difficult matters.
You just opened up a can of worms, because there's so many things that we can talk about based on that statement. I know you showed, for example, how easy it was to trick a user into creating a virtual machine. And back, when was it? Let's say it was 2 months ago. And I remember it was the third time you showed that, and you said Microsoft still hadn't fixed it. Is it fixed now?
Well, some things are not fixable.
Okay.
Simply because that's what we need. We need to offer these kind of services for regular users, and regular users could be a developer or could be a tech something. They have different needs. So these things does have a legitimate reasoning. Why do they exist in our platforms? Yes, we can sometimes with policies restrict and regulate, harden or say, no, this user doesn't have access to these kind of functions and so forth and so on. But still, if I have enough access to my machine, I mean, the immutable security law still applies, right?
Yeah.
If you have physical access to something, then you
Then I can do
basically
something.
own it, right?
Yeah, more or less.
Sooner or later, you can bypass most of the restrictions because of the physical access situation. As easy as rebooting the machine in fail-safe mode, that will put most of the security features off.
I tell customers that, and they don't believe me. I tell them, it's like, you need to lock things down, and they're just like, yeah, but there's not much they can do. We disagree, right?
Well, having a trusted machine and a platform that gives you a lot of
leeway.
Exactly. That's a good segue into something.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, threat actors are also using that. So they maybe something that looks like this is just a business email compromise. Nothing bad has happened because nobody's looking what the threat actor actually did beyond the fact they got the credentials. In a few cases we have analyzed, we saw them actually going all the way to registering devices and getting all the policies. So they have now a fully trusted device. They connect to VPN and then they are there.
Yep. And then they're in the environment. And
they can create a problem in the device, call in somebody with higher privileges to troubleshoot, and then
they take over that. Yeah.
The privilege escalation game goes on. So back to that. We do have these low-hanging fruits. Most of organizations out there, I would say the majority are not putting any efforts in protecting administrative privileges, for instance. That's a super low-hanging fruit, and it's easy to fix. But given what IT needs to do on a daily basis, I need to put out that fire and that fire and that fire. They don't have the time and to do that. So sometimes you would need actually to reach out to somebody. Hey, can you help us with this thing?
An expert in that specific area, because everybody else is firefighting.
Exactly. And that gives several benefits. You don't need to spend weeks and months into how should I do this proper way. You bring in somebody who does that for you, and you should really demand that somebody tells you what they've done.
Yeah,
so that you don't have that dependency chain started, and you don't know what has
fully
been
documented.
Right?
This is what we did. Here's
Some
a log
learning
on everything
sessions.
we did.
Exactly. This is how we use the new tooling, and so on and so forth. So having that done, then I can. This is a check. That chapter is done. Let's go to the next one. Let's get rid of local admin privileges. How do we do that? Once again, do not invest in, I need to learn everything about this thing. There are a lot of people who does that for a living, right? So bring in somebody who've done it 1,000 times before. And
instead of you trying to figure it out.
Right. So
focus on what your core business is.
You can focus on why your business needs you in your position to help them get things going. So that's what we mean with the low-hanging fruits. Another very important low-hanging fruit here is actually having ears and eyes on the systems.
So visibility,
monitoring and visibility, and actually somebody that looks at those systems. No, it's not enough just to invest in security tool where nobody is looking at the alerts. Those tools are generated. So I need to have somebody who's actually looking at that and then also doing a proper response. Now, I might never had looked at that before. Once again, that's an investment I need to make. For me to be at that level, up and
having
running,
that level of an
right?
understanding,
That's also a journey.
Yeah.
And just believing that, I got the tool. How difficult could it be? Just click away in the portal.
No, it's
Right?
not the same thing. No.
You haven't seen a lot. You haven't seen much. Even though you have been running this tool in your organization for a couple of years, you haven't seen all.
Yeah. There's no context.
Right. There is always something new that will pop up on the horizon. There is, now they are doing it this way. Now they are doing this way. We keep learning new things on a daily basis. We keep seeing new patterns, new tactics, new tooling, or new ways to use regular good administrative tools. Right? Okay, that was creative.
Yeah. So basically, if we try and simplify it, if I understand you correctly, what you're saying is just because you've got flour, water, and eggs doesn't mean you can make a fantastic bread. Let's go to the baker and get the good. And it's usually cheaper.
Buy the dough and then just put it in the oven, right?
Yeah, exactly. So
I did bake it. Well,
that's one way of doing it. Yeah. No, but it's like when you think, I was like, I'm going to make a nice cake, and I go and buy all this stuff, and I buy all the, and it's like I end up spending maybe 10 times as much. I make a mess in the kitchen, whereas I could pay, I don't know, 100 kroners and go get the cake already made, and it's a lot nicer.
Exactly.
So that's what you're saying.
Yeah, and also be careful, because there are consultants out there. There are companies out there that claim a lot of things. Yeah. But it's a lousy execution. Sorry to say that, but that's also what we've seen. We've seen customers who paid a lot of money and they are ISO certified, et cetera, but it's all just on paper.
They don't have the real world
experience. It didn't actually translate into something that strengthened their security position at all.
Okay.
An ISO certification
doesn't mean much if it's not fully implemented. Yeah.
You need to translate that into all the procedures and instructions, and you actually need also to do that as well on top of it. It's not enough to have the paperwork done and then you have the check mark.
Understood.
Right. So unless you actually invest in doing something, and then if you really want to do something, the larger of an organization it is, the more investment you need. Yeah. If you're going to build your own SOC, for instance, that's a huge investment. It doesn't matter if you're going to monitor 100 machines or a few thousands. It's still a huge investment. If you're going to do that 24/7, you need the people to do that.
The ROE doesn't seem to be there.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's a lot of investment to get the people trained, to get them continue being interested into what you want them to do, right? Yeah. Keep giving them the challenges so they develop and they keep getting new insights and all of that. So
so if I was to, like, okay, let's say I've got a mid-sized company, 2,000 users, and I trained 3 of my guys, build my own SOC. One leaves, one gets tired because there's nothing exciting happening. Whereas it's like paying 3 full-time employees to monitor my devices doesn't make sense when there's professionals that get much more exposure.
Exactly.
And it'll be a lot quicker and it will be a lot cheaper for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what they're doing 24/7.
Yeah.
And they know how to treat people. They know how to get people to continue doing that and then to also evolve in their game. So that's a different. And then for me, it's going to be, I pay that for that service.
Yeah.
I know exactly what level of attention I'm getting, what kind of expertise and quality I should expect from that one.
Okay.
It's just like we natively do that in other parts of the business. Why are we not doing that in IT?
Yeah.
IT is not anymore just a PC and a printer.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Exactly. Right? Yeah.
So some organizations depends highly on their IT, but they haven't really figured it out that they are doing. And we see that clearly when you step in an incident, everything is standing still. That's like, we never imagined this could have this kind of effect on us. I also been on meeting where pretty much CXO level personas actually shit talking the IT department they are exaggerating about it. You can just fix this, reinstall the system, restart something. This is not that bad as you're saying.
Yeah.
Right. So it's still for some of those people in a higher level in the organization, they consider IT as it's just a computer, right?
Okay, just a geek with a computer. Yeah. Okay. One of the things that I actually noticed when I listened to yourself and other of your colleagues from TrueSec is that you don't seem to favor any specific solution or any specific vendor. You're very much vendor agnostic, so you really do embody that there's more than one way to skin a cat. And if we're honest, there's a lot of fear mongering going out there. So vendors and experts will often amplify the risk and say, oh, it's going to be terrible if you don't have this or if you don't do that or whatever. What's your take on that?
We love to go back and have a look at what you as a customer already invested in and use every single feature in your current investment.
Instead of a new shiny tool.
Exactly. But you have all these like knives and cutlery or whatever it is. Why aren't you using that? Well, somebody told me I need to have this set because this set will cover everything for me. Yeah, that will do it. But you can do like maybe 60% of it with this.
With what you already have.
Right. And then you can just top it off with what you're missing. Oftentimes, reaching the 60, 70, 80% is quite enough for most organizations because what we say, it's the game is split between different components. If we look at the capabilities, so you need a protective capability. You need to harden your systems and lock it down somewhere here and there and make it difficult. Yeah, it's going to be difficult for the threat actor, but it's also going to be somehow different/difficult for the people managing those systems, unless that is not really doing its thing.
So if you set it up right, it will create a little bit of tension internally. Is that what you're saying?
It will. That's where we need to figure out a way of working that makes everybody comfortable with it. If they understand why we're doing this, then the journey is easier to accomplish.
When you say people, you're talking about the employees, the users, and stuff like that?
Mostly the admins.
The admins,
picture,
okay.
Because our goal is not to affect the user experience. Our goal is actually to affect the admin experience.
Okay. Improve the admin experience?
Well, improve the security. It might be that we are not really improving, how easy things can be accomplished.
Okay.
But it's still, that's reason behind it. Let's put it this way. If you put a couple of guys in the room, put out the lights, and on the floor you have a lot of Lego pieces, right? And then tell them to cross the room from one side to the other without saying a thing.
They're going to get hurt,
That's what protection is.
Okay.
So protection is not to make it impossible. Protection is to make it cumbersome, uncomfortable. You cannot rely on using your, I learned as a threat actor, I got my manual, do these steps, everything will work just fine and dandy. No, that's not going to work in this environment. You need to navigate to avoid those Lego pieces, to avoid being noisy and being
everybody who has kids with Lego has stepped on a Lego piece and said,
especially in the night. So that's what protection should aim at.
Okay, speed bumps make the adversary make noise, more or less.
Exactly. They cannot just rely on, they can just use their tooling, living off the land, unaffected by anything, because it is possible. So if they want to progress, then they need to start navigating carefully. And if they don't know how the thing looks like,
it'll be more difficult for them.
Exactly. Maybe they will abandon ship, or they will, if they're really insistent in, I still want to be there, that's my target, then they need to evolve their game and start using something else.
Would you say you can put up an environment for a reasonable cost that is impossible to crack or to get into? For a reasonable cost?
Well, once again, protection is never 100%.
Yep.
Everybody who's tried to sell that.
So the silver bullet doesn't exist? There is? Okay.
What we can do is that for a reasonable cost, we can protect those super valuable admin privileges by simply siloing parts of the environment and say, you know what, this account will not be able to sign in anywhere else except on that computer. And from that computer, you can continue your journey to manage whatever your targets are. So for somebody to be in your shoes, they will actually need to be in that computer.
Yep.
Unless that it's no-go. And if that computer doesn't allow anybody, unless they physically have control over it, to be on it,
So again, we're going back. We're falling into this what we would call zero trust.
Yeah.
So only a trusted device, and maybe even take it a step longer, that's validated, a certain time frame, time zone,
designed for that specific use case,
Yeah.
etc. So the context here is very important. So this user on this device that will give the opportunity to do these kind of tasks, that's the core components of zero trust. Basically, it's not just another VPN with identity awareness. We need to have the context of who you are, what are you running on top of, what do you want to do.
Yeah.
So all these in combination, which that is doable today with what we call siloing, administrative silos, and things like that. So if we do that, yes, it's a behavioral change. No, I cannot go to any PC and just sign in as the mighty admin and then solve problems.
Do people still do that?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. We still see domain admin have been on most of the PCs. We still see domain admin has been on most of the servers.
All right, let's leave I've got a question about that later. Let's leave it to that. So let's try and go over, because we're kind of running out of time. So there's a lot of, we talk about vendor noise, pushing tools. So I'm a bit curious about the deeper problem. Do you see that companies want the new shiny tool, or is it or is it just about hygiene and process? What are you seeing out there?
We see it. There has always been a thing with, if you buy this product, you can put these checkboxes.
Yeah, exactly. We're seeing that a lot now. I'm seeing that.
Exactly.
Like, especially with the NIST 2 coming, DORA and stuff like that.
So, do you have logging? Yeah, we do that with this product. And then
it feels like it's box ticking.
Right. Yeah. So, and you can still do that without buying that product. Right. Once again, what do you have? Also, we as security professionals and admins in the system, we also need to live off the land. We need to know what tooling we have and not overinvest in that tooling. So it's easy for somebody to say, yeah, we have these needs and let's buy that product.
Yeah.
We've especially seen that in environments where there is a disconnect between IT management and security management.
I see that a lot.
Because they have their budget and they have their budget.
Yeah.
And they don't want to, hey, they decided I should use that. No, I have my own money. I would invest in this. So we've seen quite many organizations in this situation. They have this tool, and this tool does exactly the same thing.
Yeah, I've seen the same. I'll tell you, I'll take it one step further. You know what I've seen? So we've got, I won't go into specifics, but we have a tool that fixes some of the stuff that IT teams need, but it's also a security tool. And they could split the cost, all right? Both get the fantastic capabilities, and they won't talk to each other. They won't even let's sit down in the same room and we'll talk about this. And they're like, no. Why? What do you think? What's the reason behind that?
There is a belief that security is security and should not be involved in IT.
What's your take on that? What do you think about? Is that good or bad?
That puts a lot of creates a lot of hurdles and a lot of delays and a lot of unnecessary, pain here and there. When we step in some of these environments where there are structures like that, and we start talking to the security division or people, and start asking, okay, if you want to do this, how would you do that? No, we would send a ticket to the IT department, and the IT department would execute. But they are not the security experts. You are the security expert. Shouldn't you be the one actually executing that? Now, when they are done, then we go back and double check
that they've done the job.
That's waste of resources.
Waste
that's
of time.
A lot of waste of time, exactly. And that's having somebody who is actually professional in doing something totally different. I've seen that alerts are being forwarded from the security division to the IT maintenance division. So those guys look at it and say, what should I do about this? It's not on their table. It's not on their...
It's not one of their KPIs. They're not measured on it and stuff like that.
Yeah, this server is behaving like this. How would I know if that's correct or not?
Yeah.
Let's call in an application guy.
Okay.
How would they know what this means? And what kind of risk it is and so on.
This friction and this double work, or it's like is it creating a window of opportunity or prolonging the window of opportunity for adversaries?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
How would you measure that?
The response will be
Take longer time. Yeah.
Because if security cannot do all of the response as effective as possible, then that will create a window of opportunity where somebody can actually start moving. They are not hindered immediately, and then they can keep going. Oh, somebody found us, but they are not reacting yet. And then they would have an opportunity to change some of their tactics.
Yeah.
Maybe use another tooling, or just abandon that system and go somewhere else. Talking about abandoning a system, we've seen a new thing is that threat actors step in and create their own servers.
Yeah. Yeah, you were talking about that. Yeah.
They are not monitored. Yeah. They are not disrupting anything in the business.
No EDR or XDR.
Right.
Yeah. And that's where it's like, I think a lot of people don't understand the living off the land, where your normal either antivirus, EDR, or XDR, where it's like, doesn't actually know, is that good or bad?
Which in most of these cases, security doesn't know about your assets.
Yeah. Oh, there's no, yeah. Do we have 500 VMs?
Exactly.
Or do we have 499?
Yeah, we monitor this many endpoints. Yeah. Are there all actually active assets?
Yeah.
Are there all the assets we should monitor? What is the coverage rate, et cetera, right? So if they are not really using the same systems or relying on information, I can synchronize that. But how often is that happening? Yeah. And then when do you actually look at?
Okay, let's talk about metrics then. So after discussing mindsets and priorities and the problems with different groups in the organization not talking to each other properly. So if I was a leader with limited knowledge, but I'm a savvy business leader. Let's assume I'm a savvy business leader. The first thing I want to know is, like, how do we know we're getting better? If I'm going to invest 1 million, 2 million, or whatever into cybersecurity, I want to know that I'm improving. I guess the question is, how do we measure that what we're doing is actually working?
Yeah, that's a good question. So an easy way to do that, I've done my programs, I've done my, all of the hardening training, whatever it is. Then it's now the time to bring in the pen testers.
So I do what I do, and then bring in the pen testers.
Yes, because you want to have certain things measured. Time to breach is an interesting metric, right?
How fast can I get into your environment?
How fast can they get in? Yeah. How fast can they convince somebody to run code? All different vectors, attack vectors, like social engineering, technical, non-technical, other things, physical access, and so on. So I need to measure that to get a sense of, okay, how much time does it take for somebody to get in? Now, the other one that is equally critical is time to detect. How good am I at detecting that? It could be just an anomaly in something, or it actually could be something detected, like a piece of malware, or
specific code, or whatever,
an abuse of an account, or something like that, right? Or something popping up, a new device in my network. How long time does it take for me to address that?
Or a device being stolen?
Exactly. Do I have effective measures? What do I do, etc.?
Yeah.
How do I care about phishing identities and so on?
Yeah.
So the time to breach and the time to detect, and then obviously the time to response. So because detection per se.
Yeah. If you're not fixing it, it doesn't matter.
If you don't
there's a hole here. Great.
And then what kind of response we did actually do? Was that response? Was it just a containment? Was it also a containment and eradication? Did we also had a recovery? So time to recover, which would cover the containment and eradication throughout that.
I find it interesting you saying that, like, from the beginning you said there's no point in us doing a pen test in the initial discussion.
If we know if something is broken, then
no, but I mean, even if I understood you correctly, you said even if we don't know that something's broken, because very few are unique. Everybody has roughly the same systems. It doesn't matter if you've got vendor A, vendor B, or vendor C. That's what you're saying. We know you're going to be roughly having this, and you're going to. We know these are the problems, so I don't need to pen test. But once you do your work, once you go in and it's either put a new tool into place or harden your environment, then it makes sense to actually do the pen test.
Exactly.
And then, do you have any specific recommendation on how long between pen testing and this exercise?
Just not to lose that, there is a parenthesis in this. So if you have put up a new application that should be exposed to the internet, then it does make sense to do a specific pen testing on that application, right? How much can somebody do with that application per se? But when we're talking about larger engagements like red teaming, purple teaming or something, actually purple teaming would be encouraged once you have done a lot of things. That's what we're discussing. That's what we are giving example, because within purple teaming, you will get these time to breach, time to detect, time to respond. Right? So pen test still is needed for very specific cases. I've done all of things. I know where I am. I'm introducing a new piece in my environment. I need to check whether that piece is
secure or
exactly. Will that mean a risk for me or how? Now, we do encourage that introducing anything new in an environment should
test it.
Security testing and security design and security, discussion should be part of the deployment process rather than now we're done. Somebody check it.
I think that's a subject for another conversation, especially with AI. We haven't touched AI, and I think this is one of the few discussions where AI hasn't come up. It is the flavor of the month,
right?
But I know, like, there's when you develop code and developers are using AI code repositories, that there's a huge threat of bringing vulnerabilities into your environment, and it's not done maliciously, but
no, exactly. I can just give you a quick example. Actually, a couple of days ago, we were asked to look at something that was partially vibe coded.
Okay.
There were a few things with clear text credentials embedded in code and things like that, but that one wasn't the worst thing. The worst thing we thought was actually the absence of logging.
Okay.
That thing didn't log any access at all.
All right.
We're not talking about application logging.
It was just a wide door open.
The simple, if something is exposed to the internet and you don't have a clue who actually approached it, who did what. All right. So because that's not on the agenda.
Yeah.
When you do your vibe coding, you're not, and you must have access logs and application logs, right? Your prompt will not look like that.
No, different priorities.
So if security is not part of your process from when you start your envisioning
secure
something,
by design,
right?
Should be,
the vision and the design and all of that, security will not be there until somebody knocks on the door and say, this is broken. You got to go back and fix it, and then it will be difficult.
It'll be a bolt-on rather than secure by design. We talk a lot about that at Lenovo, secure by design. So from the ground up. All right. Let's try and keep it unfiltered still and round it off a little bit. In your view, what is the most dangerous quiet crisis that most organizations are ignoring today? Maybe it's a difficult question. Because we've got the loud crises. It's like now in my reality is that everybody is trying to jump onto the AI train. And if we don't have an AI stamp on something, our customers are not going to buy from us. That's the loud crisis. But there must be. Do you see any quiet crisis that
the recovery situation?
Tell me more about that.
So everybody does have a backup. Right.
I know where you're going, but go on.
Who actually tested the backup in terms of restore works? The way it was intended to be. So you buy a backup solution. I would say I need to buy a restore solution. Tell me what I need to secure in terms of data. There is no plan. You just install the agents, ship the data to something, and hopefully that something will have your data not destroyed and then available when you want it back. But nobody actually did a test. Can I actually restore the whole of my environment? What does it take? How many days? How many hours? What kind of investments I need to do in storage, compute, virtualization, etc., etc.
I know two things, or I think I know two things at least. So one, that you're a big proponent of immutable backups on tape. I'd love for you to tell us a little bit why, but also companies actually don't have enough backup space.
No.
Is that right? Tell us more about that.
Well, I mean, we've seen all sorts of things with that. The backup solution or engine starts overriding because there is not enough space. Simply, the expected retention time is not kept or cannot be fulfilled. When it comes to the time to restore, then you're already in 80%, 90%, or maybe over that in your storage capacity.
Yeah.
So where to restore the whole of your environment at the same time when you need to keep everything untouched because there is an investigation ongoing? Or do you simply skip the investigation and just do the restore, and by that also restoring the threat actor?
And then you
backups.
end up in that endless cycle of once a victim, always a victim.
Yeah, we did the restore. That was our response.
Yeah.
We never did an investigation, so we don't know
when did
patient 0, day 0, all of that, right? So by doing a restore, then we simply restore the threat actor access into our environment just before, because that backup included it. Right? So, and then they will probably, that thing popped up again on our monitor. Let's see what's happening here.
All right, we want to give some free advice. Let's tell our customers, there are, hopefully it's our customers listening to us, or if I have X amount of data that needs to be backed up, how much data do I need for the different things?
Exactly. So you used to say, make a list of prioritizations in terms of these systems are the most important one. This is the 1, this is the 2, this is the 3, etc. And then look at that listing in and say, what do we need actually to restore from a backup? Which ones of these impossible to do anything about in terms of recovery unless we have the original data?
Yep.
So some of them will be that
critical
that I need the original, I need to restore from backup. Some of them will be a mix between I actually need to take the online data, which is affected by a threat actor or something, but also use the backup to get the remaining parts, because there is live data I cannot afford to lose. And then there is that category says, you know what, this is just a front-end application, I can just redeploy it. I don't need to spend resources and time to make a backup of this and then no restore. I just need to have the recipe how to rebuild that system. This is something we basically never see prepared.
Say that again, because I want everybody to hear that.
So when we step in and say, what is your list of priorities? What systems are most critical for you? Because we will target them and make sure that we will get them back as soon as possible, given the circumstances. That's where they start arguing. They're arguing the very loud discussion internally starts and say, you know what, we are the golden goose. We are the golden goose.
Okay.
Right? So, our systems are most important because we are the money makers and so on and so forth. So that's when they start realizing, we haven't done this.
So that's an exercise which is for free.
And you do it in peacetime.
Yeah.
Then you are somehow much better prepared for the crisis time to be able, we have the recipe. This is how we can get back into operational mode as soon as possible.
Okay. And is there a formula if I just put a number on thing? Let's say I've got 1 terabyte of data. What should I have for recovery? What should I have for backup?
Well, you should basically have whatever you're consuming today in your runtime.
Yep.
Just double that. And have a spare on top of that, like a 10% spare or something like that.
So if I have 1 terabyte, I need 2.
2.
If you have another 10% on that.
Yeah.
So 2.1.
Exactly. If you have 2 data centers.
Yeah.
You need to have a plan where you're okay with scrapping one of the data centers and making that as your recovery point.
Understood. Okay.
Because whatever is on the primary data center, that should probably be kept for investigations, for what if we have data that is not replaceable. So then we have the space and the resources to play with things when we restore till we get them into operational state and then bring them back into production.
And then make sure you test that regularly basis. That's the most important.
At least one time a year, you do actually a full restore. So first time you basically do just a restore. You don't do recovery. You don't do you don't power them on. Not even that. Just measure how much time it would take to get all the bits back to disk from your backup.
Yeah.
And that you're actually getting bits that works.
Yeah.
Right. Images that.
Yeah. And just being able to
correct.
validate that. So, all right. So last question. Let's round this off because this has been a super interesting discussion. We were supposed to do this for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
We've been talking for an hour.
Yeah.
Let's end it with some unfiltered advice. So if you could get every security leader and executive to stop doing one counterproductive thing, just stop doing one thing and start doing one other powerful thing tomorrow, what would that be? What would you stop doing? What should you be doing? Just one thing.
I would start with what we should do.
Yeah.
We should definitely start preparing for the crisis.
Okay.
There is business continuity, there is incident response plans, but do that properly. What means, what if none of our systems works? What kind of information do we need? What is critical? Where should we put that information? Because that information should go either on paper, in a safe or something like that, or in a different tenant, or in a different cloud something, and so on. So that kind of preparation is critical.
Okay.
Well, what we should really stop doing is that we should stop not caring or giving enough importance to administrative accesses.
Stop. Okay. So stop not caring.
Exactly.
Okay.
Most of our organizations don't care enough about where admin privileges are exposed.
Okay.
Which simply makes, if a threat actor makes it into one system, it's way too easy to figure out credentials to go to the next.
To make a lateral movement and things like that.
So the blast radius, I need to understand blast radius of accounts. I need to the importance of them, and I need to give them enough security measures.
Okay.
That's what makes it or breaks it. Basically, when we step in and look at it. Oh yeah. Already on the first server, the 2003, they got a local admin, which was also the main admin, and it's came.
Then they got the keys to the kingdom.
Yeah.
Okay. Fantastic.
So that includes, you've heard that before. We need to segment and separate certain things, like this is the underlying
Not
infrastructure
everybody
components.
needs access to everything. Yeah.
Not everybody needs to be on the vSphere web console or
I talk a lot about that. Like if you're not supposed to have access to a resource, I don't think you should even be seeing that resource.
No.
For example,
there's
no reason.
To be frank, it could be vulnerable as Edge. If nobody can access it, nobody can abuse those vulnerabilities.
True. Yeah, exactly.
So that will also give some peace of mind.
Yeah.
Yes, it's critical, but it's only these 5 trusted guys.
Yeah,
and if they already want to do something bad, they can already do it with or without a vulnerability.
True. Yeah. So I need to protect those 5 guys, make sure. Yeah. Hasain, this has been a fantastic conversation. One of the best conversations I've had in a very long time.
My pleasure.
I really appreciate it. I hope our listeners have written things down because there's a lot of golden nuggets here. A lot of really expensive advice, actually.
Well, I think
good advice.
I think we can reach out in every single one of these and talk for hours about them.
Yeah, easy. I mean, next time we'll talk about something else, but I'd love to talk to you again. I think our viewers would like that as well. It's been an absolute pleasure. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Lenovo.